He's polite, he's helpful, he never argues, never complains, never causes problems. He's the one who says, it's fine, even when it's not. He's always available, always agreeable, always overlooked. This is the nice guy, and for years, he was your survival strategy. You learned that if you were easy to love, you might finally be loved. If you were non-threatening, non-confrontational, non-demanding, maybe you'd be chosen, maybe you'd feel safe. But here's the truth, no one told you. Being nice isn't the same as being good. It's not kindness, it's fear dressed up in politeness. Carl Jung wrote, "Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol or idealism. And many men are addicted, not to substances, but to approval. Because when you don't believe you're enough on your own, you try to earn your right to exist. By fixing, by pleasing, by sacrificing. You smile when you want to scream. You nod when you want to say no. You give and give and give, until your identity is nothing but other people's comfort, and the world rewards you. You're such a great guy, so easy to be around, so selfless. But under the praise, you're empty, because the nice guy isn't real. He's a mask, a role, a performance stitched together by childhood wounds and adult fears. Nietzsche said, "He who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises." And when you're the nice guy, you despise your own anger, you hide your ambition, you neuter your masculinity, not because it's toxic, but because someone once told you your strength made others uncomfortable. So you learn to shrink, to soften, to smile through the burn. But that version of you, it's killing you. Because beneath the niceness is rage, loneliness, shame, a deep ache to be seen. Not for how compliant you are, but for who you really are. And until you kill the nice guy, you'll never meet the man underneath him. This isn't about becoming cruel, it's about becoming complete. In this video, we'll go deep into what Jung called the shadow, the repressed, rejected parts of yourself you've been taught to hide, and how Nietzsche's vision of the strong, sovereign individual isn't about domination, but about integration. Because real power, it doesn't come from being liked, it comes from being whole. He didn't start out as a nice guy. He started out as a kid with big feelings, loud energy, natural strength. And then something happened. A parent flinched at his anger. A teacher scolded his questions. A friend pulled away when he got intense. He learned early. If you want to be loved, be small. Don't take up space. Don't push too hard. Don't be too much. So he split himself in half, kept the parts that made people comfortable, helpfulness, politeness, sensitivity, buried the rest, anger, desire, fire, truth. Carl Jung called this the formation of the shadow, the parts of us we exile to the basement of our personality, not because they're bad, but because someone told us they weren't welcome. And the longer they stay down there, the louder they grow. You see it in your people-pleasing, your fear of confrontation, the way you panic when someone's disappointed in you, how quick you are to apologize, even when you've done nothing wrong. These aren't personality traits, they're survival reflexes. You learned to be the emotional medic in every room, to diffuse tension, to anticipate needs, to be so damn likable that no one would ever abandon you again. But here's the problem. You abandoned yourself in the process. Nietzsche warned of this too, the slow death of the individual under the weight of social approval. He wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. And the nice guy, he's overwhelmed, not by others, by his own silence, because deep down, he knows, this isn't love, this is performance, this is earned affection, conditional belonging, a life spent asking, am I allowed to feel this?" But Jung offers a way out, not by deleting the nice guy, but by confronting the shadow he's been hiding from. In the next part, we'll go straight into that basement, where your fire lives, where your voice is locked up, where the man you were supposed to be is still waiting to be let out. So here you are, an adult with a polite smile, a calm voice, and a storm inside your chest that never got to speak. You think you're emotionally mature because you avoid conflict, because you don't let things get to you, because you're always the bigger person. But the truth? You're not calm, you're numb, you're not patient, you're resentful. And that smile you give when someone steps all over you, that's not kindness, that's a mask. Carl Jung didn't tell people to get rid of their darkness. He told them to face it, to stop pretending they were good and start becoming whole. He said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So let's make it conscious. Let's name what the nice guy buried, the anger that was labeled too aggressive, the desire that was shamed as selfish, the sadness that got laughed at or ignored, the power that was feared, mocked, or punished. It's all still there, in your silence, in your over-apologizing, in the way you'd rather ghost someone than be honest, not because you're cruel, but because confrontation still feels like danger. But it's not danger anymore. You're not 8 years old. You're not standing in front of someone who gets to decide if you're worthy of love. You are the one who decides now. And if you're going to reclaim your strength, you have to stop hiding from the parts of you that don't look nice. This doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming clear. When someone disrespects you, say it. When you're angry, admit it. When you want something, own it. Because honesty is not aggression. Boundaries are not cruelty. And being powerful doesn't mean being dangerous. Nietzsche spoke about the Übermensch, the man who transcends herd morality. Not someone who dominates others, but someone who no longer lets others define him. The nice guy lives in the herd. He fits in. He plays it safe. He follows rules he never wrote. But the man who integrates his shadow, he becomes the author. And that's what this work is about. Not killing your kindness, but freeing it from fear. Not rejecting your softness, but anchoring it in strength. Not erasing your past, but using it as the fuel to build something new. So if you've spent your life being easy to love, it's time to ask, was it love they gave you, or just relief that you never challenged them? You're not here to make people comfortable. You're here to be real. And in the next part, we'll dive into how nice becomes toxic, not just for you, but for everyone around you. Because a man who won't say no can never offer a real yes. He thinks he's helping. He thinks his silence is kindness. That his willingness to always say yes is noble. That bending himself into a smaller version of who he really is what makes him lovable. But here's the thing. The nice guy doesn't just betray himself. He betrays everyone around him. Because when you never speak your truth, you don't build connection. You build illusion. Your partner thinks you're fine, but you're not. Your friends think you're loyal, but you're exhausted. Your co-workers think you're dependable, but you're secretly full of resentment. And all it takes is one boundary, one refusal, one honest sentence, and the whole thing collapses. Because what you offered wasn't intimacy, it was performance. Carl Jung said, neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering, and being the nice guy is a slow, quiet neurosis. It's the avoidance of real pain, conflict, rejection, truth, by choosing fake peace. But fake peace always turns into real war, not out loud, but inside. You think you're making others happy, but really, you're keeping them disconnected from who you really are, and they can feel it. Even if they don't say it, they know something's missing. They feel your distance. They sense your fear. They wonder why it always feels like something is just slightly off. Because when you never show your edges, no one ever really touches your core. You don't give people the chance to love you fully. You give them access to a filtered version of you that's always careful, always calculating, always safe. But love doesn't live in safety. Love lives in truth. Nietzsche warned us about this too, about becoming tame to be accepted. He said, "Become who you are." But the nice guy never does. He becomes who others need him to be. And that's not loyalty, that's fear. When you stop telling people what you really think, when you agree just to keep the peace, you rob them of the chance to grow with you, or even grow apart, with honesty. Because the longer you stay silent, the bigger the explosion becomes. One day, the mask slips, the resentment leaks, the anger you've been storing erupts in a way that hurts everyone, even the people you love. So if you think being nice is harmless, ask yourself this: how many people have you lied to by saying it's fine when it wasn't? How many promises have you broken to yourself just to avoid disappointing others? How many versions of you have died quietly in rooms full of people who thought they knew you? This isn't about being harsh, it's about being honest. Because honesty isn't cruelty, it's the foundation of love. And in the next part, we're going to build from that foundation and step into the man who doesn't ask for permission to be whole anymore. So this is where it begins, not with noise, but with a decision. You stop smiling when you're uncomfortable. You stop apologizing for having needs. You stop explaining your boundaries like there's something to be negotiated. You start standing, even if your hands shake, because being a man isn't about domination, it's about self-possession. It's waking up one day and realizing you're done being the emotional servant in your relationships. You're done trying to prove your goodness with silence. You're done buying love with parts of yourself you never wanted to sell. Carl Jung said, "A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them." And now, you're walking through the fire, not away from it. You're no longer scared of your anger, your power, your desires. You're learning how to hold them without exploding, without suppressing, just holding. That's what strength is. Strength is telling the truth and letting the consequences come. Strength is saying no even when you know they'll pull away. Strength is knowing you're still worthy when nobody claps for your boundaries. And something strange happens when you reclaim that power. The right people start listening. They don't just see you, they feel you. You become undeniable. You stop attracting those who need you to be soft so they can feel strong. You start connecting with those who can meet you at your level. No games, no masks, just mutual presence. Nietzsche didn't say, "Kill your kindness." He said, "Transcend your programming." He said, "I want to learn more and more to see what is necessary in things as the beautiful in them. And sometimes what's necessary is a boundary, a breakup, a silence, a version of you that's done begging to be enough. You are not here to be digested. You are not here to be small. You are not here to be loved only when you're easy. You are here to stand, even if it means standing alone, even if it means breaking someone else's fantasy. Because the moment you stop choosing comfort over clarity, you become dangerous, not in a cruel way, in a clean way. And that kind of man, he doesn't scream, he doesn't chase, he doesn't explain, he just is. And in the final part, we'll finish this rebirth and put the nice guy to rest once and for all. This is where the story ends and where the real journey begins. You've killed the nice guy, not because he was evil, but because he never let you live. Now you stand tall, not because you're better than others, but because you're finally yourself. The man who didn't need approval, the man who didn't need to be liked, the man who could say no without second-guessing himself. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that's exactly what you've done, not in small, soft steps, but in bold, decisive ones. You've faced the darkness. You've faced the parts of you that were hiding. You faced the shame, the guilt, the fear of rejection. And now you're free. Freedom isn't in having no restrictions. It's in knowing you're worthy of your own. You don't need to be liked. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be easy. You just need to be real. And here's the most beautiful part. When you stand in your own truth, the world starts to reflect it back to you. The people who leave, they weren't meant for you. They were looking for someone who didn't exist, someone who would shrink, someone who would settle, but not you. The people who stay, they're the ones who love the man you've become. They're the ones who respect your no because they can finally see your yes. So now, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? You don't see a nice guy anymore. You see the man who can finally stand alone, without apology, without shame, without fear. And that, my friend, is real strength. Because the strongest man is not the one who dominates, but the one who doesn't need to dominate at all. You are not the hero of someone else's story. You are the hero of your own. This is your time, your life, your power, your truth. And the nice guy, he's dead. Not because you killed him, but because you let him go. Now you can finally live.